You better say your prayers, you flea-bitten varmint. I'm gonna blow you to smithereens.
You do that and I'll kill you.
Okay, folks, welcome to another evening of Bobby Yaps. I'm talking here this evening with Generation Kills bass player Rob Moschetti.
I was jamming with other guys at the time, you know, either parents or present at that time. So he would be kind of throwing the lineup together just to, I didn't want it to be one-dimensional. I mean, I could have played all the guitars and the bass and written everything, but, you know, I'm not stubborn like that. I want to have other styles, you know. Slow burn really has nothing to do with slow burn except for like the tail end of the song.
Right.
Outro, you know, but I would have never written a song that style, not my style, you know, but I love the song and I'm glad I'm a part of it. You know, collaborating with Blue on Musical Wolves and Walking Dead. Sometimes you need other people to feed off of, you know, and I didn't want to be stubborn about it, say I'm writing all the music, playing all the music. You know, certain things I wound up playing all the guitars on, like songs that I wrote, and then, you know, they were, you know, it was easier for me just to play guitars on Self-Medicating or Red, White, and Blood, because I wrote them instead of having to teach these guys every little, you know, nuance of the song. And, you know, I played guitar in Propane, I played bass and MOD, so they trusted me to, you know, that I would do it good, you know.
Right.
So and you know, plus it was at the time it was really like mine and Deuce's band, so they really weren't like arguing like, you know, about, you know, they were just happy to be a part of it at the time, you know.
Well, I can tell you, you know, the musicianship that y'all acquired on Red, White, and Blood, it's outstanding. I mean, when I first, you know, like I wrote in my review, when I first popped the headphones on and started listening to the album, I mean, it was holy shit. What the hell is this? Honestly, I mean, I was truly blown away at the beginning. Now, you guys released Red, White, and Blood in 2011. What was it, like November or December?
I think it was September. Yeah, September in America. I can't remember. I think it was September in America, but it was released maybe a couple of weeks earlier in Europe.
Okay.
And, you know, as soon as you release it on iTunes in Europe, obviously it's available, you know.
Well, how's the reaction been so far? I mean,
it's cool. I mean, it gets that old school thrash thing, you know, immediately, and then you have to dig a little deeper. I'm not hiding from the thrash thing, but it's not like a Slayer album, you know, which I love Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more of a, you know, there's more variety musically on it, you know.
There is.
An acoustic 12-string song with no drums or distorted guitars or anything like that. Rob's actually singing on the two Dark Days, you know.
I was very surprised by his vocal style on that too. I mean, listening to what he's done in Exodus, and then listening to the range he hits on here, it's night and day.
Like that, though, initially we wanted to do stuff that I could never do with Propane and MOD. I'm just thinking, MOD had 3 albums out when I joined. Propane had 2 albums out when I joined. Their path was chosen before I got there.
Right.
Exodus, same thing. You know, Exodus had you know, 10 albums out before Rob joined, you know.
Yeah.
And so the path is chosen. When you're doing a new band, you know, why limit yourself? You know what I mean? So I said, there should be no repercussions to do whatever we want on this record because there's no expectation at all. You know, obviously people are going to say, okay, it's going to be heavy because our path's there. And we kept it heavy.
Oh, it's definitely heavy.
Go a little further. You know, I wanted to just push it a little further and explore it a little bit more, you know?
The acoustic pieces on there are great. I mean, every little ambiance, even like the beginning of Hate, you know, kind of threw me off at first. But it kind of hypnotizes you and draws you into it, and I like that. It's very tasteful. So, now how were the recording sessions? And where did the recordings take place?
There was 2 places. We did the guitars, rhythm, leads, takes in my house. And then we did vocals, drums, and I mixed at Johnny Rod's Studios, J Rod Studios.
Right on.
Another guy we're friends with for years, and so you know, he always did recordings, you know, vocal recordings and stuff like that. And then Duke's actually hired him to do the vocal tracks for the Let There Be Blood Exodus album. And once he did that, I kind of realized that he stepped up his game. And you know, and with that, he wound up doing the vocal tracks, the body blips for the last 2 Overkill albums, you know?
Right.
But when it comes to like guitars, bass, and I basically I'm really picky about that stuff. I don't want anybody taking, you know, I don't want anybody creating my sound or anything like that. You know, I played on the 20-year Propane album that was just released this year, and they just let me do my guitar tracks here and send them to them. You know what I mean? So it's just they know, they trust me with my sound. And when it came to doing this album, I want to handle all the guitars, and even the guitar players themselves here. You know, Jay and Lou at the time, and now Jay and Jay, they trust me that, you know, it's got to be sonically. What comes out of your hands on stage doesn't necessarily translate when you're recording.
That's correct.
It's a completely different thing, you know. So, you know, I did the 2 Propane albums. I recorded at my house when I lived, you know, I lived in Long Island. When I joined that band, I moved out there where they lived. And, they kind of know I have the grasp on that stuff, so really, that's one thing where I am stubborn about the guitar sounds. And, you know, I just want to have full control of that instead of giving it to somebody and say, make it sound cool. You know, that's your responsibility, you know, as the player. And then obviously I produced the record too, so I just wanted to keep it whole. And the thing too is this: my guys come over, they track some solos, they leave, they go home, listen to it for a week, and sit on it for a while, and then say, hey, can I come back and read that one section or read the whole thing? And I'm like, yeah, okay, because it's not costing us any money, you know, it's because of my house.
Yeah, because
Whatever you want, I'm here every day working on stuff. So.
I know anytime you go into a professional recording studio, as soon as you walk in, you're shelling out, you know, $100 here, $100 here, $100 here, and then, you know, the longer it takes you, the more it costs. It's always great doing that at home DIY, especially with the technology that's available today.
Johnny's cool with us too, and he cuts us some break here and there, and which is fine, but it's still quite fun, you know?
Yeah.
Dark Days was written by me and Dukes. Me and Dukes were watching the Rangers Flyer game, and the Rangers were blowing them out, and we just got bored, and I said, what was that acoustic idea you wanted to do? He's been talking about it, and he showed me in the opening riff. That's his riff, which is, you know, the chorus riff. And then I go, you got anything else? No. So then I grabbed the guitar and started playing the verse riff. And then as soon as we wrote it, we tracked it. And what you're hearing on the record was the day it was written, 10 minutes later it was tracked, and now it's, you know, on tape forever. So, you know, created, not overthought. He wanted to do like a Fade to Black song without the heavy part. I just want to do, everybody wants to do a mellow song, but they always gotta make it heavy just for the sake of, because we're a heavy band.
Right.
Like, I want to do a Fade to Black without the heavy section. No drums, no heavy guitars, maybe a solo, you know, to be heavy, but I was like, cool, I'll have no problem with that, let's do it. And the spontaneous idea was, like I said, I think the first time I
going to go ahead and pop on a couple songs. Which one would you like to hear off the album?
Wow. That's tough. I would say Hate.
Alrighty, and we're back live. Back here with Rob Moschetti from Generation Kill, talking about Red, White, and Blood. You just listened to the first and second tracks on the album. The first song actually is Hate, and the second one is the title track, Red, White, and Blood. Thanks for coming back there with us, Rob.
Hey, before I go on, I gotta definitely thank the Generation Kill Street team on Facebook for basically setting up this interview. President of the fan club is Ashley Thomas from the band Ashes of Fire.
He's a really cool dude, too.
Yeah, he's a great dude. I mean, he's an account for street level. He basically, that's where he comes up with the street team name, and he plugs his band, our band, and just goes crazy with it. I wouldn't have found you guys without him, so I definitely want you guys to check out Generation Kill Street Team on Facebook or Generation Kill Music, and drop us a line over there. Check out what we're playing and tell me to you.
Right on. Yeah, Ashley Thomas is one hard-working dude, man. He is always posting up something, sending us something, and it's amazing. I mean, the guy is just incredible.
He makes great posters and promos, and aside from having like the biggest band voice on the planet, so I work with him with Ashes of Fire, so I produce all his music, and then he throws that crazy voice on top of it, and it's something cool, I've never been part of like a death metal project, really, so this is like a first for me.
Right on. Well, let's talk a little bit about what band or bands led you into music, made you, want to start playing, and which bands influenced your style?
Early on, I'm a child of the 70s, and the 70s, you basically inherited your older brother's record collection, and a lot of those bands were already broken up by the time, I got into them. But the one band that my brother Mike, drove into my head was Sabbath,
Oh, I hear you.
Something about Sabbath with the power chord, you could learn a Sabbath song on guitar very quickly. I still don't know how to play Stairway to Heaven and all that stuff. Up to that one and stuff, but I was like, it was so far beyond, my talents as a little kid trying to play guitar. But when you play blues, man, it's like smoke on the water that you purple, it's like it's something you can learn quick, and it hits you hard right away. So
And it just sounded awesome.
He did it for me,
Exactly.
And,
I mean, Tony Iommi is the god of riffs.
yeah, but the coolest thing about it was, Sabbath was done, but I was discovering them after they were already long gone, and then I was in high school when Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets came out.
Right on.
So, that was life-changing, because I was already playing guitar, I was looking for direction, and, stumbled across Metallica, and then it opened the door to SOD, Anthrax, Megadeth, Sacred Right, MOD, Pro Suckers, all those bands. I had no idea of a whole other world. I'm like, it finally gave my own music,
Right.
Instead of like a hand-down music from the older brothers. And, in high school, listening to all those bands, and then pretty much by the time I was 21, basically jumping into MOD, which I was a fan of in high school, and being exposed and meeting Slayer, Pantera, Exodus, and all these bands that I listened to in the burnout, drinking beer in the woods, partying in high school, and then next thing you know, I'll meet Tom Murray or smoking a joint, at the Palladium in California,
Wow, that had to be fucking cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was absolutely amazing, But, they were kind of local around here too. So
Right.
they connected to MOC, you know, I thought MOC was a cool thing and got exposed to all that those guys. You know, the two bands though, I always say every year it was Sabbath and Metallica, early Metallica, you know.
Right on. Yeah. For me, it was always Sabbath, Maiden, and Metallica. That was the three that really influenced me the most.
Absolutely one of my favorites, but for some reason it didn't influence me writing-wise. Probably because it was a little further beyond my talent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're more musically, you know.
Very progressive, yeah.
Sabbath was a little more raw. Sabbath Metallica had that raw power chord. You know, more attitude than anything. Maiden was technically superior to a lot of bands, and that's not really my style.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, as a bass player, if I had a, you know, Steve Harris, Cliff Burton, Geezer Butler, definitely my three bass influences. And then as for guitar, there would be Hetfield and Iommi. So it always goes back to those two bands for me. You know.
Right on. Now, what?
You don't choose your influences, they choose you, basically. You know, it's whatever sticks to you.
Exactly. It's kind of like the Jeet Kune Do of Bruce Lee, you know, applied to metal. You take what's useful and cast away what's not. And that's really how you kind of develop your style.
I didn't think I was good enough, but what happened was when I joined MOC, Billy basically taught me to use my strengths to the fullest. And then don't go where you're not really knowledgeable, but, you know, focus on your strong points. You know, I'm not doing some propane as well, and that's what I'm doing there still. I'm trying to be Big Mouth Steve, I don't play like that, you know?
Right.
I'm trying to be, you know, Billy Sheehan on stage. It's not my style, you know?
Mm-hmm. I don't know, what I heard you playing on the album, man, was incredible. It was some damn good bass lines. In fact, I made a comment to the wife when I was listening to it. I said, you know, he reminds me a lot of Dan Lilker from Nuclear Assault, just listening to it.
Yeah, I never influenced me, you know, early on, but the thing is, when I did the bass on the MOD Evolution album, I listen to it now, and it blows me away, and I recorded it in 93.
Wow.
I absolutely overplayed on it, you know what I mean? Because I was trying to get noticed at that point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm at a point where it's like, I'm not trying to steal the show or steal attention or you know, get noticed. I want to be more subtle and tasteful now. But when I listen to the Evolution, to the album, you know, the MOT album, I'm like blown away. I'm saying, who the hell is that guy? I'm like, you know, it's crazy. It's all over the place, but it's absolutely cool. But I would never do that now unless I was, you know, if a project was really called for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so obvious. I would have lit myself on fire at that time to get noticed. You know what I mean? That was my whole goal, was to, you know, make some waves and to get some attention. But, you know, I'm a lot more subtle now and tasteful with the bass playing, and, you know, you can do fills every 2 seconds, but I would wind up doing the same fill over and over again.
Well, let me ask you, you know, talking about MOD and Billy, is Billy Milano truly as nuts as we've read and have heard?
Absolutely not. He's worse. He is absolutely out of his freaking mind.
Right on.
You know, it's not a joke. It's real. It's absolutely freaking real. And, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. But, you know, he's my buddy. I owe everything to him. You know, I had a record out before I met him. A band called Mutilation. And, you know, it was on a small label and whatever. It was released worldwide and stuff. But he exposed me to the things, you know, and completely insane, out of his mind, and it's great. It was hard to be in the band with him, but now, you know, as fellow musicians not working together, you know, I love the guy, and I love him that he was more like a father, an insane father. You know, but now we're just friends, and he's always very complimentary of what I do, and
That's awesome.
I mean, it's no act. If anything, he's toning it down from what he really is.
So, what if any bands are you currently listening to at the moment?
Edge of the Fire, Generation Kill. I mean, I don't want to sound like a douche or nothing, you know, but it's like, nothing right now is really grabbing me. I'm an old school guy, so it's like, I listen to every day, it's got to be something, you know, from Sabbath or Metallica, you know. I don't care, because they're timeless records today, you know. I can listen to Master Puppets every day. I listen to Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All, you know, and Justice for All. I listen to it, you know, probably twice just today, you know.
Right on.
I don't know. I mean, I love the first two Megadeth records. You know? I love, you know, Taking Over, Overkill, Kill the Fire, Overkill, SOD, you know, that's all that stuff. I listen to currently. My iPod's full of that stuff. There's really nothing new that I could, you know, Old Suicidal, you know, probably like the first 5 records from Fast.
Right on.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't say there's anything right now. I know, everybody's kind of doing, the one thing where I want to get away from with the production on this, everybody's got the same formula for mixing now. Like, every drummer sounds the same.
Yeah, they're all using triggers and Pro Tooling.
Yeah, and even like the guitar tones are all the same, the drums are the same, a lot of the vocals, you know. That's the one place where you do find that different identity in the band. But what happens is, I didn't want to sound modern, or in fact modern. I didn't want to sound, I wanted something timeless where you can listen to this record in 5 years, 10 years, and, you know, I was talking to Bobby Flynn about it from Overkill, and he loves the record, and I told him, because this record could have been released in 87, and it still would have been ahead of its time.
Yeah.
He started laughing, and I'm like, you know, I was joking, I'm like, no, I'm serious. I said, 87, and this record came out, Master of Puppets. No one would have been like, wow, this is the future of music. It just would have been like, oh, it's a cool record. And that's what makes it timeless, when you're not trying to latch on to a certain, you know, what's current isn't going to be current in a few years, you know? So you just do what you like and try to be honest about the art. You know, people forget this is art. I know it's a business and all, but, you know, I'm sure if we sign with a bigger label, they would tell me, you can't produce the records anymore. We need you to go to so-and-so, producing every metal record known to man, you know? And I would be like, you know what? Save your money.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
I don't want to be in debt to a record company, so pay some guy for an addition on his house, you know?
So, on that note, how was the band's relationship with Season of Mist?
It's cool. I mean, we gave them half a record before we got signed. And we had Hate, Feast, Depraved, Walking Dead, what else? Probably like probably half the record. Hate, Feast of the Wolves, Walking Dead, Depraved. We gave them that before they even gave us the nickel. And here's the first half of the record. You know, you want the rest of it, you know, make us an offer. So basically, they liked what And since that point, they really have, no control over us creatively, And,
that's always a big plus, because it really sucks when the artistry of an album gets stifled.
yeah, well, this too is, they like the record, so, that's a huge plus. I mean, they're not a big label, they don't have a lot of money, I don't expect them to get into debt themselves to try and move this thing,
Mhm.
Sell a million, we'll go print 5,000 at a time, so. But I don't want them to lose their asses on us. I don't want this to be a cult classic album. I don't want it to be an overnight smash success and it disappears because we burn out,
Right.
So, they're expecting another record probably around September, like the last one, but we'll give them the record when it's ready, and I don't think they're going to argue with it because, they made some go off us, They didn't really invest very much. And they're paid back already, and they profited big time, so,
Now that's always a plus right there.
yeah, I mean,
A huge plus.
First sales report, they were paid back, we were paid back, they made money, we made money, and, now we're debt free with them forever, so whatever we sell, we both support it. I don't think they're going to argue, get the studio, they wanted this record, they wanted the Red White Blood record pretty quickly, and then we gave it to them, and then we sat on it for 6 months. So, I'm not going to rush in there and get it to them, and then they sit on it for a few months. I'd rather take those 2 months and keep working on it,
Yeah.
So,
Now,
I'm hoping for next summer, next summer, it's a cool thing.
I took a look at the website, and you got a nice little list of label mates on there, like Cynic and Atheist.
There's a lot of death metal stuff going on the label, which is, Morbid Angels on there, we're probably the redhead stepchild of the label, but I think the main reason they signed is just because, Rob Collectors, honestly,
Well,
have that name on their roster, but they do like the album and they just believe in the album, but, I don't mind anything else. Anyway, it's different from everybody else that they are going for, I don't want to blend in,
I totally understand that.
Yeah, it's true. I want this album to stick out and be a hit.
Well, with the label mates that you have, you were saying how they're mostly death metal and things like that. With the sound that you guys have, y'all stand out, and that's the thing you really want to do in the biz, is stand apart from the norm. So y'all are basically like the diamond in the rough with that label. And me personally, I see y'all just doing nothing but going up, up, up. Because that's a hellacious album, excellent songwriting, excellent musicianship, awesome production. The package from production to packaging, the whole thing is 100% great.
Awesome. I really appreciate that, and I got definitely thank you for playing the stuff. And, the main thing is, you have 100 listeners, 1,000 listeners, whatever. I don't care if it's 10 listeners. If people are listening to it on your airways, and then they go to iTunes, or they go to the store and buy the thing, and it just slowly spreads, one at a time. That's fine with me, I'll give them away. We had 200 copies of this thing, and we just gave them away. We weren't even selling them at the shows. We were just giving them, trying to give them to the right people. Doing that, we actually got a movie soundtrack with Slow Burn, just a mafia movie,
Mm-hmm.
So that comes out, sometime this year, early next year, you put the CD in the right hands, which is in your hands, and a bunch of other people's, it spreads, and that's how we want to work this band. We don't want
I see that happening. I mean, the fan base, everybody I've let listen to the album so far in my network of friends have just totally fallen in love with you guys, man. Like I said, I've spread it out to a bunch of my veteran buddies because, you know, of course, I'm not sure if the listeners out there know that this is a concept album, but it's basically the story of how soldiers get trained to kill, not to care, and then the demons they bring home with them. And this album really struck a deep chord with me, being a veteran and being in those situations and having to come home and deal with my demons. And luckily, I won out. But there are some out there that's not so lucky, you know. And
it's true, it happens all the time. But we just want to there's some self-esteem. We are absolutely pro-American, you know. It's just that when you take, you know, middle America, 21, 22-year-olds, and throw them out there, you know, to fight, and then you bring them home, if they make it home. Honestly, our opinion is their houses, their mortgages should all be paid off. You know, as soon as you enlist and get sent over, your house should be paid off, your bills should be paid. You know, you shouldn't be losing your house and your life when you go away, and then you come home and you know, you should be immediately retired. When you know, I'm coming 20 years, fireman 20 years, you know, that's nothing compared to 6 months on the front. You know what I mean?
Yep, I know exactly.
Come home, you can take care of like loyalty, and you're not. So what happens is these guys come home and they got to function in normal society, and you know.
And the military doesn't prepare you for that when you come home. They do not. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, I mean, normal people in a depression and in the economy the way things are today, it's rough. Imagine, you know, going through something like, you know, a war and then coming home and finding out you're foreclosing on your house and your wife's leaving you and, you know, you got a drug problem or this or that. You know, it just escalates everything, and then you have this switch in your brain that was basically planted in you. You know, it's very, you know, your coping skills change, you know.
Drastically.
But, you know, we want firemen and you know, we are absolutely pro-American, and, you know, we're big on the soldiers. We love everything that you guys have done for us, you know. You may be open to sacrifice whether you live or die, because either way, you have to live with you know, with it for the rest of your life. You be made at home, and people don't understand that. You know, you got people on the side of the road, you know, bashing the soldiers and, you know, stop the war. And meanwhile, if we didn't have stuff like before, you wouldn't be able, you wouldn't even have the freedom to be out there holding your stupid sign. You know what I mean? So, you know, people don't understand. You know, they want the state, but they don't want to see the slaughter of the bull.
I was just passed a note here. I was just passed a note, and an inquiring mind wants to know, as a child, who is your favorite cartoon character?
The old school Bobby was like,
Right on.
they don't even really hear those anymore because there was racial stuff in them, there was violence in them, you know. But yeah, you don't warn about the stuff that was awesome, you know. But probably like Wile E. Coyote, there's always like more coming back.
Yeah, he never gave up. He kept trying. All right, we're going to wrap this up here in just a minute. What advice would you have for up-and-coming musicians and bands that are trying to break it into the business?
Don't listen to anybody else. Follow your heart, you know, because I basically, my whole past in my career is not listening to other people. Like, I had to leave Mutilation to get to MLG, and 3 of the people were affected by that. You know, my whole band. But MLB was where I wanted to be, and I didn't think that other thing was going to get me there. I followed my heart, and it changed my life, and, you know, and writing-wise, don't do what everybody else is doing. Do what you want, you know, and if it's different than what everybody else is doing, that's better. Don't blend in. Be yourself, you know. That's the biggest thing. You know, I always wanted to be, you know, like Metallica or this or maybe this or that, but I had to find my own way, you know. You can emulate certain things to give you direction, but don't blend into what's going on right now, because by the time you catch up to them, it's not going to be happening anymore, you know.
Yeah, something else is going to be the new fad.
Right, I mean, Metallica came out, and a bunch of rap metal bands came out, and by the time, you know, they started to catch on, that phase and that fad died, and died hard. If you rap metal right now, it's a joke, you know what I mean? No one would even dare do it right now. There's a couple, but, you know, it almost, you know.
Well, Rob, I would...
Truly, in your heart, do it, but don't follow the trends, you know, make your own.
I was just told that we're not on a time schedule, so we can rap a little more if you'd like. I hear you, brother. How about us throw a couple more songs on, let people get a taste of some Generation Kill?
Alright, cool. Well, you know, we started off with the heavier stuff. How about we dive into something like self-medicating?
Some self-medicating?
Yeah, it's a little different vibe from hate or reflection.
Right on. Self-medicating is coming up next. We're back again. All right. I was taking a look through the chat room there, and I saw some of your responses to the cartoon character question. And I saw Danger Mouse, and I think Deanna was digging on some Johnny Bravo. I guess she likes his pecs. And I saw DJ Rem wanted me to give you a shout out, Rob. He said, "What's up, mofo?" Right on. Well, we're going to take a few questions from the chat room. So, chat room, ask some questions.
You typed one up
There's
there.
a couple of them in there.
Scroll up, you can see them.
I saw, what up, asked, I think it was Devilman.
Yeah.
Where was it?
Yes. Where they like to tour.
Yeah, where would Generation Kill like to be on tour?
I mean, I toured America and I toured Europe, and they're completely different, but it's cool, you know what I mean? So it's like, I want to tour the whole freaking planet, you know what I mean? It's hard to say. You know, like anywhere where they're staying, there's you know, 20 of them things down, but, you know, the convenience of touring America is a lot better than Europe. You know, there's a Walmart and a restaurant on every corner in America. You know, European parts are a little tougher, but, you know, as long as there's people up the show around and shit there, I'm trying to take the Mars and keep on serious.
Well, I saw that Deanna wanted to know who in the band has the most tattoos.
Dukes, absolutely, Rob Dukes. Yeah, I think the spot between his asshole and his balls is tattoos. But I don't know how the person experience, I'm just guessing that.
I had someone just come in and wanted to know, do you think that you need Jim to change his name to Jason or Rob?
That's good. Where's that?
The name on there is Bunker Pook. So I'm not sure who it is.
Well, my manager's name is Rob, so there's 3 Robs.
Also, Devilman asked, what countries would you like to tour to? Any of them specific?
Again, anywhere that there's, a crowd. I can't really pinpoint, but there were a bunch of different places, and they were all cool in their own way. So,
Right.
I think it's really cool playing places where they don't even speak the language fluently, and they're singing the songs. That's amazing. I'm not singing any German songs. So, Rammstein actually was able to break that thing in America, where you come in singing and stick to your own language. But, it's amazing when you meet people, and they barely speak English, but they know the words to your songs, and they know the songs. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Let's see. Had Vix asked, who would you want to share the stage with the most? Which band?
Obviously Metallica, and we came very close to doing that last month, but Eddie Chris was away. The Orion Fest from Jose from Liquid Metal.
Right.
Was actually able to slip in a band, Jim Texas, over there for one of them. And Exodus was supposed to play that show as well, but they were on tour in Europe, so we wouldn't have a singer. And, but that was cool. But, in the past, I've gotten to play with, Slayer and Motorhead and Venom. But, obviously, the only ones left are really Metallica.
Now, Bunker Pook has asked another good question, or actually made a statement. He says he loves slow burn, makes his cock hard as the bodies burn. Must be a friend.
That's why my kids that describes never fun.
Right on.
Live. He told Ashley, Ashley went to the Exodus show in Florida, and he's like, I knew the fuck with Rob Moschetti. That's my right purpose. It's just a fucking thing. Because it's like, it's like poking a lion with a stick. You know what I mean? It's just love. Because they love to explode, I was short. When you get that line, cock gets hard as the body burn. It's like other people's misery with a big smile on his face. It's all on it. My girlfriend loves it. She's hysterical. But I look at him. It's like a little thing like smiling, like a little kid watching a cartoon. Well, I'm about to go postal,
Let's see, Rock and Roll Villain Society said, for him, it's, I don't know, but I've been told that Eskimo pussy is really cold.
That's another classic line. And honestly, that song, Dukes was living with me. She was making tours and girlfriend at the time, so he was playing today. So I was crashing on my couch. And, I write punches tunes constantly without any thought of, are they good for generous kill? Are they just for me writing for the sake of writing or whatever? And I just write for the fun thing. And came home and I showed him the music to Red, White Blood from beginning to end. I recorded it. And I said, is this too happy for us? They said, it's perfect. It's not going to be happy by the time I get done with it. And I didn't know exactly what he was talking about until I heard it the vocal track. Because take down the vocals from that song. It's like a Ramones kind of vibe or a old Fighters kind of vibe. It's not really angry music. It's kind of catchy, happy punk kind of music in a way,
Right on.
But it just goes to show you what a brutal vocal track can do to music. It can elevate the music.
We've got Bunker Pook asked 2 questions. He wants to know if you have any tattoos, and he also wants to know what happened to the other guitarist, Lou.
Okay, yeah, I do have tattoos, but they're hinky. They're like, below the belt. And only right at this point right now, only my girl sees them, which,
Gotcha.
it's a very close up. And Lou, I can only be as honest as possible with this, okay? Lou has a history before. I was in a band with Lou, Mutilation, and he has a history of mental kind of issues, you know what I mean? Like just paranoia and
Right.
but talent is talent, you know? And I thought that this would be his last shot at doing anything in music, so I was like, take full advantage of this. And finally get shit together. And, so everybody asks, why are you using this guy? He's getting a bad reputation in the town, you know? That's because he's just so damn talented. I don't care about that other crap, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, I wanted to prove everybody wrong. I wanted to show him that he did have self-worth. And, when we first started, he was running on all cylinders. He was my right-hand man early on, you know? And then I don't know what it was. I don't think it was the pressure of the band. I think it was the pressure of life. Again, just crumbled him, maintaining everyday things became an issue for him. And then it becomes a band issue. Can't make cereal, just little things. And I try to be as demanding on these guys as possible. I know we're older guys who have lives, jobs, this and that. So I try to take all the brunt of the work on myself. And then just make show up, jam for a couple hours, go home.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't maintain even that because his whole life, personal life, was crumbling. So, believe it or not, right now, he's in Egypt, and he's trapped in Egypt because he sold everything to go there, and he's jobless out there now. He's basically the same person, but now he's in the back. He's basically
Wouldn't you like to?
stuck out there, He went out there to live with his mother or something like that, and he was going to get a job, yada, yada, yada. He sold everything because he had his own back here for a plane ticket. Now he's couch surfing out there with no job, and meanwhile, there's civil wars going on and stuff up there,
Well, I had Vix ask,
That's the honest truth. I've never told anybody this. I'm not lying.
right on.
There, can't get back.
Vix wanted to know, when are you guys coming to Alabama to play?
I think I did an interview in Alabama station the other day. That's up to him. That's up to them. I just pledged this to him and his two friends. They got to spread the word, pack out, it only takes 150 people to pack out a club for us to be there,
Mm-hmm.
So all you have to do is burn copies for your friends. You don't even have to buy it. I don't give a shit about that. Turn your friends on to the stuff,
Right on.
and we'll come play, Unless we're opening up for somebody else, and we just come through. But the best thing you can do is, tell your friends, and we'll be there.
Basically, if you build it, they will come.
Exactly.
Let's see.
Are you looking for any bands to join them?
And who asked that? Okay, Schmooby Poo asked, are you looking for any bands to tour with?
Well, honestly, we were trying to hook up something with Death Angel. Our drummer Jim and Rob are friends with those guys.
Right on. Great band too.
Came out, because we're stuck in the middle, We have Rob from Exodus, Rob from Propane, but not a lot of people know the band right now. So it's like, we're kind of, rock a hard place kind of thing. You can't spend money to go on the road. It's to break even.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're just a small band, almost too. So, we'll take whatever. We're just going to bring people through the door. We're not going to go overkill. Push that band. They call it a buy on. Bands that nobody really knows at the time. They pay to be there. We're not doing that.
I got you.
We've been around the block. When I was in Propane, the band used to do that to get on our tours,
Mm-hmm.
But I can't go back that far, and that's backwards, and I would never expect a lot of people to do that either, So we have to earn our spots to pay for them.
Well, let me ask you this. Whenever you're away from Generation Kill and away from the business, what do you do in your spare time? What kind of hobbies do you do?
Wow. There is none, honestly. It's like, it's music, That's the coolest thing about it. Is that, I genuinely love it. So when if I'm not doing it with Generation Kill, then I'm, giving music to add to the fire so we can have a project.
Tom from Blood Lubricant says, I think them and Death Angel will be good.
That have normal lives and guys I went to high school with just get together, once a month in the basement and jam like we used to hell of it without a set list, without a goal of playing a show or a record. Just jam. It was fun. That was the kid, getting in the basement and jamming. So I still actually do that with my friends. They're surprised that I still want or like to do it. But, but it's a genuine love and a genuine hobby that turned into a career. And then, now it's not my full-time thing,
Right.
Career-wise, which is fine. But it's, it's a part of my life, 24/7.
I had Tom from Blood Lubricant, he's the vocalist for that band, stated that he thought that you guys and Death Angel would be a great tour.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, we played with, I forgot who we played with, but Mark, the singer from Death Angel, was there. Like I said, he's friends with Dukes and Jim. So, we did a little tribute to, the West Coasters with him. And we got up on stage with Supposedly Heroes, Metallica, with him.
Oh, right on.
It was cool. We just enjoyed that song. I mean, we play that song as well as we play our own,
Yeah.
And, if you're doing a Metallica cover, you might as well challenge yourself a little bit. I love playing that freaking song, I would do that song every night if I could,
Let's see. I had, scroll back up.
You doing it?
Had one of the guys in there, I think it was that Bunker Pook, stated that your hobbies are writing and performing killer music
And kicking ass.
and kicking ass.
You know what? I kind of do have another hobby. Rebuilding old school BMX bikes.
Oh, right on.
I think if I could, I would do it with motorcycles. I just don't have the money. So what I do is I find like an old red line or a PK Ripper bike frame, and then slowly, put it together, find the parts, body parts, whatever, and restore it like old school BMX. So I'm looking at a red line right now in my living room.
Wow.
Behind like 12 guitars. And then once the thing is done, I'll find another one and just do that. But like I said, if I could do it with cars or motorcycles or storing that, I would. But, you gotta live with you. So I'll do it with an old BMX instead.
I used to have an old red line and an old school mongoose.
Yeah, they're classics.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, our generation stuff. Nothing freestyle stuff, like, riding in the dirt,
No, this is stuff that you can go jump, little homemade ramps and bust your ass and bend the handlebars and bend them back in place and keep on rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just, it's pretty nice. I'm a kid still, believe it or not, I don't ever want to lose that,
Right.
Once you get old, you get boring.
That's not part of the whole slowing down process. It sucks.
Oh, definitely. I know. I don't know how vulgar I can get on the air, but things are kind of really good. We're trying to, again, depends on the situation. You can't play in clubs,
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out right now where our strongest markets are and see if we can throw something together. If we don't jump on with a bigger band like that thing, it's a little overkill that just comes through right. If we do it ourselves, we have to look up the sales and see, where the strongest markets.
Mm.
So we would love to.
Let's see. Alrighty. Well, shall we play some more music then?
Yeah. Do you want to wrap it up? What do you want to do?
Alrighty. Well, what would you like to hear, Rob?
What have we played so far?
We did Hate. Yep.
The last two going are Let Me Die and Wish.
Okay, we got Let Me Die and Wish up on the list. Okay. You got Feast of the Wolves. Let me get out of her way so she can run her computer. And thanks all you guys for tuning in and hanging around the chat room and throwing up your questions. Right on. And when we come back, the music, I'm sure we'll be taking some more questions from the audience out there and think on them and ask what you want to ask Rob Moschetti of Generation Kill.
To play or Feast?
Yeah, that one. And here you go, Feast for the Wolves.
With Bobby Weaver interviewing Generation Kill. Just wanted to give some shout outs. Brutiful Vixen, Mayhem, Dark Black Death Dude from Hell and Stuff, Blood Lube Vox, Cam, What's Shakin' Bro, and Bunker Pook, nice to meet you. And I'll let y'all get back to the jam and the interview. I just wanted to say all your names. Metal. Go ahead, babe.
Get out my way, woman. You gotta talk lovely to women, otherwise they don't listen. Alrighty. Well, we're back here with Rob Moschetti. And you guys have any
questions?
Any questions? Any more questions? Oh, let's see. Bunker Pook says that he's seen you guys twice, and you never play this tune, which is Let Me Die. He says, I'll be at the Kill Devil Hill at Dingbats. Please play it. The solo is sick.
God. It's up to me. I wrote it. I was really silly. But I got 3 other knuckleheads in the band. And unfortunately, like, when you make a record, certain songs just fall through the cracks for live. Like, there's something from this, but they just don't translate. Like, we tried it. We played it a couple of times live. And it just didn't have that same power as the rest of the set, you know? Definitely attempted it. I would love to keep trying it and then figure out a way to make it work, but, you know, all I can really just tell them that I'll try to get it into the set, you know?
Right on.
It's an uphill battle. Once you just have to set your mind that, you know, if it's jive and live, it's almost like I don't even want to pursue it too, because you set yourself up for failure. But we had played it live, you know, it's probably not the time to, you know.
Right on.
I see it on the wish slide, but we don't do that no more. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Really? People are digging the music and want to know the behind the scenes stuff. I'm over it, I'm there.
Now,
No, I didn't want to know.
we've got Dark Black Death Dude from Hell and Stuff is asking, what is your favorite piece of gear?
Piece of gear?
Yeah.
Well, right now, I'm playing these custom-made basses from Halo Guitars. Go to halo.com, it's Halo. They make some really cool stuff, and they were cool enough to give me 2 basses. And they took me on as an endorsee, I guess you'd say. And they're really cool. I mean, if you play guitar, they have guitars and basses with ridiculous amount of strings. I'm a 4-string bassist and I'm a 6-string guitarist. That's it.
Right on.
They have stuff with the necks on these guitars, or, you know, up to 6 inches wide with, you know, extra frets, extra strings. They're really an over-the-top company down Halo. That's definitely number 1 with me. And then the other thing would have to be Zoom recording products. That's absolutely my lifeline. For a pre-production, writing and recording, and actually recording our album, I use the Zoom products, you know, digital stuff, to do all the guitars, the bass, and leads, you know, and I live by it. So Halo and Zoom, absolutely, 100%.
Right on. Are you all into putting a metal show together with some local acts, some kind of Palooza metal or something to that key?
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, unfortunately, these things go on all the time, you know, Metal Fest this, Metal Fest this, you know, you rely on all these other bands to bring people, and it's not the same as Europe, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, you bring 30 people, another band brings 20 people, but what happens is they come, they watch their friend's band, and then they leave. You know, and then the show drags on forever. By the time the last band goes on, nobody gives a shit, and it's 1 in the morning, you know, and the thing went on from 12 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I would love to do something like that, but there's got to be, like, national bands involved, or else no one's going to stick around. For, you know, you got to have, like, a big headliner. And, you know, I'm all for it. But, unfortunately, the American, what do you call it, attention span is very long, and that's why you don't really see many huge music festivals like in Europe. The Europeans camp out all weekend, they save all year for these festivals, you know, it's their life,
Yeah.
you know. It's a little different over here.
Yeah, the metal scene over in Europe, I noticed, you know, during my tenure over there, it's still a lot like the 80s in the mentality of it, as they live their metal. everybody's got their, leather pants, bullet belts, battle jackets. I mean,
Man,
it's
successful mentality. They
yeah.
don't just go. Put it this way, Anthrax plays the big four all over the world. Huge. They play Yankee Stadium, their own home state, and it's basically, dead when they're on. I mean, that's a shame.
It is.
There were still thousands of people there, but at Yankee Stadium, that ain't enough. When Metallica played, it was packed. When Slayer played, it was packed, But Anthrax, being from New York, people went to work for the day, they came home from work, they ate, they took a shower, and then they went to Yankee Stadium, and if they caught Anthrax, fine. Europeans, they would have taken off, 3 days prior, camped out in the parking lot, and then inside to see it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the European crowds, man, they are completely hardcore. They live it, they love it, and they just can't get enough of it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, America, we all got jobs to go back to, and they're a little more lenient with vacation time over there, and your time off, and, holiday, they call it, oh, I'm on holiday, holiday, what the hell is that? We get a week if you're lucky, 2 weeks if you're lucky, but most people dedicate that to their families instead of their music,
Yep.
So, yeah, it was kind of a shame to see Anthrax in their own home state playing right to, less than, probably the ease of Yankee Stadium, full, the age of it, and that looks like. There's thousands of people, it looks empty,
Tad, let's go overseas and do this.
Absolutely. I like the idea of the metal cruises is something cool now, because you're stuck on that boat, you ain't going home. So, I think that's cool. Kids go on boats, and they're on there, a bunch of bands play, a bunch of different times. That's cool. I think that was a smart idea, and it's tested on. It's the closest thing to, the dedication of the European festival, because, if the only way to get off that boat is to swim.
Well, I guess let's go ahead and wrap this up. Is there anything else that you'd like the fans and listeners out here to know that we haven't covered already? Or, maybe give out the web addresses where they can find Generation Kill or purchase Red, White, and Blood?
Generation Kill music on Facebook. Or if you just want to Google it, Generation Kill music or Generation Kill Street Team. Right now, there's a bonus track available for free called Run It Out. A promotional video attached to it, no band footage, just old school war footage. It's a song that wasn't on the record, it's a song that's the current lineup, and it's a song that's not going to be on our second record. It's kind of like a song to kind of hold people over in between. So right now, go over to Generation Kill Music or the Street page, Generation Kill Street Team. Upload this video and bonus track song for nothing.
Right on.
If you guys get sick of the record, or if you want to hear something different, a little more on the hardcore edge, never with the lyrics and the music for it, and it's a cool track. It's kind of a autobiography about myself or about the band, how can't stop us no matter what, Just
Hell yeah.
burning the candle at both ends kind of thing, And the title of it, Run It Out, comes from an old Yankees video I saw where Joe DiMaggio was the veteran on the Yankees, and some rookies were coming in, and they hit a little swiveler up the third baseline, and they knew they were getting thrown out, so they wouldn't run it out first. And DiMaggio, they come back to the bench, DiMaggio will grab
That's it.
Whatever it is. Go to work, do your job, whatever. But if you're going to do something, do it full on or don't fucking bother.
Well, Rob.
Check out the street page. Check out the street page and Generation W's page on Facebook and yeah, there's some cool shit over there, photos, tour dates, you know, video clips and shit like that.
Well, Rob, we sure do appreciate you coming on the air with us and, you know, spending your time and letting us know about you, about Generation Kill, and, you know, promoting Red, White, and Blood.
I want to come out there and play Alabama, so let us know when you guys are doing another show. We'll be there.
Right on, brother. We're going to be working on that. We will be working on that.
I'm sure. I'm not fucking around. We'll be there. Yeah.
Right on.
Right on.
Backline and barbecue waiting, and we'll be there.
Oh, the back line's here. You can ask the old lady. I make some mean barbecue. That's why she married me, because I cook so well. She ain't got to. Right on, brother. Well, we're gonna say again.
She cooks in the bedroom.
Yeah, well, she cooks in the right spot. Yeah. We're gonna finish off the evening with Generation Kill, Let Me Die. Thank you all for listening. Rob, again, thank you for being so gracious and talking with us, and I can't wait to do this again with you.
Oh, awesome. 2 hours and 5 minutes. That's a record.
Right on, brother. Well, we'll catch up with you soon.
Well, thank you very much for playing this stuff.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.